Wives, who said get out daily. How did you react when he actually left? Story 1. My wife Kendra had this habit of saying get out the way other people say pass the salt. Burn dinner? Get out. Forget to buy oat milk? Get out. Laugh at the wrong part of a movie? Get out. She'd always follow it with a huff and a slam, and then 10 minutes later, act like we were normal again. At first I apologized. Then I started going quiet. After a while I started timing it. The record was 5 get-outs in one day, and somehow I was still the one sleeping on the couch like I'd committed a crime. The day she said it and meant it, at least she thought she did, was over something microscopic. I left my shoes by the door. She stepped on the heel of one and did that dramatic stumble like she'd been hit by a car. "Get out!" she screamed, pointing at the door like a judge. I stared at her. No argument came. No pleading. Just this calm that surprised even me. "Okay," she blinked. "What?" I walked to the closet, grabbed my duffel, and started folding shirts with the careful hands of a man packing for a funeral. "Stop being dramatic," she said, suddenly softer. "I didn't mean you say it every day," I replied. "So today I'm listening." That's when she panicked. She followed me from room to room like a shadow, switching tactics every 30 seconds. First she was angry, then she was hurt, then she was sweet. "You're really leaving over shoes?" she cried. "No," I said. "I'm leaving over the 1,000 times you told me to." I walked out with my duffel and my keys. She ran after me barefoot on the cold porch, yelling my name like I was kidnapping myself. 2 hours later, my phone blew up. Paragraphs, voice notes, missed calls. Then the final message. "If you leave, don't bother coming back." I didn't reply. I simply turned my phone face down and slept on my brother's couch like I could finally breathe. The next morning, she sent a selfie. Eyes puffy, caption, "Come home. We can talk." Like the last 5 years were a misunderstanding. I stared at it for a long time and realized something terrifying. The silence felt better than love ever had in that house. So I stayed gone. And for the first time, the words, "get out," didn't echo in my head, because I'd already done it. Story 2. My wife didn't yell "get out" when she was angry. She said it when she was winning. It was her favorite move in fights. Escalate, corner me, then end it with a smug little, "Get out. I can't even look at you." It wasn't a request. It was a victory lap. The night she pushed it too far was at her sister's birthday dinner, surrounded by candles and family, and people who always pretended they didn't hear her little stabs. Her mom asked me a harmless question. "So how's work?" Before I could answer, my wife, Mel, laughed and said, "He's fine. He just likes pretending he's stressed so he can avoid doing anything at home." I smiled like it was a joke, but my face burned. Then she added louder, "Right? Tell them how you help, by breathing near the dishwasher." Everyone chuckled politely. I didn't. In the car, I told her calmly, "That wasn't okay." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, don't start." "I'm not starting. I'm asking for basic respect." She turned fully toward me, seatbelt cutting across her chest like armor. "Get out then. Seriously. Pull over. Get out if you're going to be a baby." And something in me snapped. Not in rage, but in clarity. I pulled over. She froze. "What are you doing?" I put the car in park. "You told me to get out." "You're not going to embarrass me like this," she hissed, suddenly embarrassed now that the theater had consequences. I unbuckled, stepped out, and shut the door gently. No slamming, no drama, just obedience. She leaned out the window. "Are you insane? Get back in." I walked to the trunk, grabbed my backpack, and started walking toward the gas station lights up the road. Behind me, her car crawled alongside, like a shark stalking a swimmer. "Stop. Get in. Now." I kept walking. She started bargaining. Okay. I didn't mean it. I was mad. I didn't even look at her. "You never mean it. That's the problem." She finally drove off, tires squealing, probably expecting I'd panic and call. I didn't. I bought a cheap phone charger at the gas station, sat on the curb, and booked a hotel for the night. I blocked her for 12 hours, just long enough to remember what my own thoughts sounded like. The next day, when I turned my phone back on, I had 34 messages. My favorite one said, "You're really going to throw away our marriage because I said 2 words? Number." I threw it away because she'd been saying those 2 words for years. And I finally believed her. Story 3. My wife used "get out" as punctuation. She'd say it while unloading groceries, while brushing her teeth, while texting her friends. Sometimes she'd say it without even looking at me, like my presence was just a glitch in her day. I convinced myself it didn't count because she'd laugh afterward, until the day she said it in front of our son. Our boy was 6 and obsessed with building forts out of couch cushions. I'd promised him we'd make one that weekend. Saturday morning, I started dragging pillows into the living room and he squealed like it was Christmas. My wife, Dana, came in holding her coffee like a judge holding a verdict. Seriously? She said. This mess? First thing in the morning? It's for him, I said. We're making a fort. She looked at our son like he was a coworker who'd made a mistake. Then she looked at me. Get out. My son froze, a cushion hugged to his chest. Mom? Dana didn't even soften. Not you. Him. I waited for the usual follow-up. I'm kidding, but it didn't come. She was staring at me like she wanted me to disappear so her morning could go back to being clean and quiet. Something about my kid's face, confused, scared, like he'd caused an explosion, made my stomach drop. I stood up slowly, dusted my hands off, and said, Okay, Dana blinked. Don't be dramatic. I walked to our bedroom, pulled a suitcase from under the bed, and started packing. Socks, jeans, my toothbrush. Calm, neat movements. Like I'd rehearsed it in my head 100 times. She followed me, angry now. Where do you think you're going? You told me to get out, I said. You always take things too literally. I zipped the suitcase. Our son took it literally. That's when she realized what she'd done. She hurried to the living room, tried to laugh it off, touched our son's hair. Sweetie, Daddy's just being silly. But our son didn't laugh. He just whispered, Is Daddy leaving because of me? Dana's face went pale. I stepped into the doorway so our son could see me. No, buddy. Never because of you. I'm going to stay at Uncle Mark's for a bit, okay? You can still call me anytime. Dana grabbed my arm in the hallway, nails biting through my sleeve. You can't leave. You're punishing me. No, I said quietly. I'm protecting him. She started crying then. Real tears. Messy. I'll stop. I'll be better. I looked at her, and I almost believed her. Then I remembered all the other times I'd almost believed her. I left anyway. 2 weeks later, my son built a fort at my brother's house and looked at me with relief, like the air was safe again. And that was the moment I knew I'd done the right thing, because the word get out never crossed that threshold. Story 4. My wife's get out came with a performance. Hand on hip, finger pointing, that same dramatic voice she used when she talked to customer service. She'd throw it out whenever she wanted me to chase her. Prove I cared. Prove I wasn't leaving. It was a test she never admitted was a test, until I passed it. It started on a Tuesday of all days. Not a birthday, not an anniversary, not even a big fight. Just Tuesday. I got home late because my boss kept me in a meeting. My wife Rachel was in the kitchen with her arms crossed like I'd committed treason. You're late, she said. I texted you. We ran over. She waved her phone at me. I saw. Still late? I kissed her cheek. She turned away like my lips were an insult. I sighed, set my bag down, and started washing my hands. What's really going on? She snapped, Get out. I turned the faucet off slowly. Rachel, get out! She yelled louder, and I heard the tiniest tremble in her voice, because she wanted me to react. She wanted the chase. Usually, I would. I'd say sorry even if I didn't know why. I'd hug her while she stayed stiff. I'd prove myself. Instead, I just nodded. I walked past her, went straight to the closet, and pulled down the box of important papers we kept on the top shelf. Passport, birth certificate, our lease. Rachel followed, confusion turning into anger. What are you doing? Leaving, I said, like it was the simplest sentence in the world. Her face sharpened. You're not leaving. This is my house, too. Yes, I said. And you keep telling me to get out of it. She laughed once, sharp and fake. You're bluffing. I packed a backpack with documents, my laptop, and my charger. I took nothing sentimental. No photos. No souvenirs. It felt like removing hooks from my skin. That's when she changed. She blocked the doorway with her body. Stop. I didn't mean it like that. You did, I said. You just didn't think I'd listen. Her eyes flashed. So you're just going to abandon me? I looked at her, really looked, and realized how often the word abandon came out whenever she didn't get her way. No, I said. I'm going to stop auditioning for my own marriage. I pushed past her gently and walked out. She ran after me barefoot, grabbing my sleeve. Okay. I'm sorry. Come back. Please. I opened my car door and paused. For 1 second, I almost folded, because habits are powerful. Then she said through tears, Fine. Go. Get out then. And the irony hit me so hard I almost laughed. I got in the car, closed the door, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, she looked small, like someone who just realized the game only works if the other person keeps playing. Story 5. My wife used get out like a reset button. Every argument ended with it. If she felt herself losing, she'd say, get out, and the conversation died. No accountability. No resolution. Just me walking away with my throat full of words. I didn't realize how trained I was until one day I didn't obey immediately. We were fighting about money. Again. She'd ordered furniture we didn't need for a vibe. I'd asked her to at least talk to me before dropping half a paycheck. She did that calm, icy smile that meant she was about to go for the kill. "You're controlling," she said. "It's disgusting." "I'm not controlling," I said. "I'm scared." "We're behind on bills." She leaned in slightly, voice smooth. "Get out." I didn't move. I just stared at her. She repeated it slower, like I was hard of hearing. "Get out." I looked around our living room. The furniture, the staged throw pillows, the fake plants. The apartment that looked like a catalog but felt like a waiting room. Then I said, "Okay, but this time for real." She snorted. "Sure." I went to the kitchen, grabbed a trash bag, and started quietly packing my things, like an apocalypse drill. A few clothes, my toiletries, my work laptop, my old hoodie she hated because it looked broke. She kept talking from the couch, not realizing. "You always act like a victim. You'd be nothing without me." I walked by with the bag. Her words slowed. "What's that?" "My stuff." Her face tightened. "Stop. You're being manipulative." I didn't raise my voice. "You taught me this. Get out means the discussion is over, right? So I'm ending it." She stood up fast. "You can't just leave? Why not?" I asked, genuinely curious. "You order things without asking. You insult me without apologizing. You kick me out daily. But I can't actually go?" She reached for my arm and I flinched out of pure reflex. The hurt on her face looked real for the first time in months. "I don't mean it," she whispered. "I just say it." I nodded. "I know. And you're still leaving?" I took a breath. "Yes. Because you say it when you're angry. And when you're calm. And when you want power." And I realized I've been living like a guest in my own life. She started crying, sliding down the wall like a movie scene. "Please don't." I paused at the door, not to comfort her, just to speak clearly. "You wanted me out every day," I said. "Today I'm giving you what you asked for. The only difference is, you don't get to take it back 10 minutes later." Then I walked out. And for the first time in years, the hallway air felt like mine. Story 6. My wife, Lara, used get out like a remote control. Pause the argument, pause my presence, pause responsibility. She'd snap it in the kitchen, in the hallway, even in front of her friends. Then an hour later, she'd send me memes like nothing happened. The night it finally backfired was after a small party at her friend's place. I made a harmless joke about her always ordering dessert while claiming she was on a diet. People laughed. Lara didn't. In the car, she went ice cold. "You embarrassed me." "Get out of the car." I assumed it was another threat, another performance. Then she slammed the brakes near a gas station and unlocked my door. "Out. Now." Something in me settled. Not anger, clarity. I stepped out, grabbed my jacket, phone, wallet, and closed the door gently. No shouting, no drama, just obedience. Lara stared at me through the window like I'd broken the script. "You're seriously doing this?" "You told me to," I said. She peeled out, expecting I'd chase her. I didn't. I walked into the gas station, bought water, and sat on the curb under the buzzing lights. 10 minutes later, "Where are you?" 20. "Don't be dramatic." 30. "Come back." I didn't mean it like that. That was the whole point. She never meant it. She just wanted me to beg, to prove she could throw me out and I'd still come crawling back. I typed one line. "I'm going where you've been sending me for years." Then I blocked her and watched the traffic pass like my life was finally moving again. Story 7. In our house, my wife Nadia had a cool-down rule. If she got mad, I was supposed to leave her space. Sounds healthy, right? Except her version of space was disappear until she decides you're allowed to exist again. It was constant. Get out of the room, get out of the kitchen, get out of my face, like I was a stain she could wipe off whenever she felt annoyed. The day everything changed, she said it in front of our daughter. Our girl was 7. She made a crooked little card with hearts and wrote, "Mom plus Dad equals home." I stuck it on the fridge because it made me feel like we still had something worth saving. Nadia walked in, saw it, and curled her lip. "Take that down." "It looks cheap." Our daughter stood there holding a marker, waiting for the good job she deserved. I said carefully, "She made it for us." Nadia didn't even look at her. She looked straight at me. "Then you can admire it somewhere else." "Get out before I lose it," our daughter whispered. "Mom," Nadia ignored her again. Like our kid was background noise. That's when I realized it wasn't just me being disrespected. It was my daughter learning that love sounds like eviction. I took the card off the fridge gently and told my daughter, "This is beautiful. I'm keeping it, okay?" Nadia snapped. "You're really leaving over a piece of paper?" "No," I said. "I'm leaving because you turned our home into a place people get kicked out of." I packed without yelling. No revenge speech. Just a suitcase and silence. In the hallway, my daughter ran up and grabbed my hand. "Dad, are you coming back?" I knelt down. "I'm always with you." Just not here. Behind her, Nadia stood frozen, finally realizing her favorite threat had consequences. Story 8. My wife Marta loved ultimatums the way some people love coffee. Every argument ended the same way. Pack your stuff and get out. Then she'd calm down, act normal, and I'd return to the living room like a dog that came back when whistled. That was her favorite part. The moment I proved she could throw me away and I'd still stay. One morning she said it with this extra clean, extra cold tone. Get out. I'm better without you. No fight. No build-up. Just the execution. I didn't argue. I went to the closet and pulled out a suitcase. Marta actually laughed. Oh wow. The dramatics. Go on then, actor. I started folding clothes. She kept smirking until I reached for my documents. Passport. Birth certificate. Work laptop. That's when her face changed. Wait, she said. Are you serious? Yeah, I answered. You've trained me for this. I can pack in 10 minutes. Her voice sharpened, trying to regain control. So this is your plan? To punish me? I zipped the suitcase. This isn't punishment. This is me finally taking you at your word. She stepped into the doorway. You're not leaving. This is my apartment too. Exactly, I said. And you keep telling me I don't belong in it. For a second, she looked panicked, like a magician who just realized the audience isn't impressed anymore. Then she switched to tears, quick and convenient. I didn't mean it. I just say things when I'm mad. I walked past her with the suitcase. That's why I'm leaving. Because you say it when you're mad, and you say it when you're calm, and you never fix it. As I opened the door, she whispered, if you walk out, don't come back. I paused, then nodded. That's the first thing you've said that sounds honest, and I left. Story 9. My wife didn't yell, get out. She whispered it. That was worse somehow. Like she wasn't angry. She was disgusted. Like my presence was the problem. And removing me would fix the room. It started after she got a promotion. Suddenly she had new friends, new habits, and a new tone whenever she talked to me. Like I was a childhood sweater she'd outgrown. Every day it was something. Get out, I'm on a call. Get out, I'm trying to relax. Get out, you're stressing me out. I kept shrinking to fit. I started walking quietly, speaking softly, cleaning more, apologizing faster. Nothing changed. Then one evening, I came home to find her dressed up, doing makeup in the mirror. She didn't say hi, just stared at her reflection and said, get out. I need the bathroom. I stood in the doorway. We need to talk. She rolled her eyes like I'd interrupted something important. Not now. When? I asked. When I've been kicked out of every room in my own house? She turned, mascara wand frozen midair. Oh my God. If you're going to be like this, then get out for real. Go. Leave. And there it was. The upgraded version. Permanent. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, okay. She blinked. Excuse me? I walked into the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag from the closet and started packing. She followed me, suddenly annoyed. Stop. You're being ridiculous. I kept packing. Her annoyance turned to confusion. You're actually leaving? Yep. Then her voice got sharp again, like she could snap me back into place. Where are you even going? Somewhere I'm not constantly told to disappear. She tried the final move. Cold superiority. Fine. Go. You'll be back. You always come back. I zipped the bag and looked at her. Not this time. Because you finally said it the way you meant it. Her face cracked for half a second, like fear slipped through. I didn't mean, but I was already walking out. And the weirdest thing happened. The hallway felt warmer than our home ever did. Story 10. For years, my wife used get out as a warning shot. She'd fire it every time she wanted to end a conversation without losing. It was her escape hatch. Slam the door, turn up the TV, let me rot in silence. I got used to it, which is its own kind of tragedy. Then we hosted a family dinner. Everything was fine until her brother brought up our finances. He joked about how my wife loved online shopping as cardio. Everyone laughed. My wife's smile stayed frozen. Then she turned it on me. Well, he's the one who can't provide the lifestyle I deserve, she said, loud enough for the whole table. So what do you expect? My throat tightened. I tried to keep it calm. Can we not do this in front of everyone? She leaned closer and hissed sweetly. Then get out. Go cool off. You're ruining the vibe. The table went quiet. Forks paused midair. My wife's mom stared at her plate like it suddenly became fascinating. And I realized she wasn't just kicking me out of rooms. She was kicking me out of the marriage publicly, one humiliation at a time. So I stood up. My wife's eyes flashed. She expected me to apologize, to shrink, to salvage her image. Instead, I calmly said, sure. I walked to the coat rack, put on my jacket, and grabbed my keys. Her smile twitched. Wait, where are you going? Out, I replied. Like you asked. She laughed nervously to the table. He's being dramatic. But I was already at the door. Then she followed me into the hallway, voice low and frantic. Stop. Come back. You're embarrassing me. I turned to her and said quietly, you embarrassed me first. Repeatedly. I'm just finally letting it land. Her face hardened. If you leave now, don't come back. I looked at her, really looked, and nodded. Okay. I walked out, and behind me, I heard her gasp like she couldn't believe the spell didn't work anymore. The next day she texted, you really left me over one comment? And that's how I knew she never heard a word I'd been saying for years. Only the moment I finally listened to hers. Story 11. My wife Jenna treated Get Out like a boundary, but only for me. She could rage, slam cabinets, throw accusations like darts. Then the second I tried to respond, she'd point at the door. Get out. I don't want to hear it. It happened so often I started keeping my shoes by the couch. One night, she exploded because I liked a coworker's photo. Literally a group shot at a charity run. Jenna stormed into the living room, waving her phone like evidence. So this is what you do? She said. Flirt online like a pathetic teenager? It's a group photo, I said. You can see 10 people in it. She stepped closer, eyes bright with adrenaline. Don't gaslight me. Get out. I sighed, already tired. Jenna, you can't keep doing this. Out, she screamed. And then she did something new. She opened the front door and held it, like a bouncer, and that's when I realized she wanted the power moment. She wanted me to beg to be allowed back in. So I walked to the closet, took my overnight bag, and calmly started packing. No arguing, no defending myself, just folding. Her voice softened instantly. What are you doing? What you told me, she scoffed. Stop. You're trying to scare me. I zipped the bag. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to stop being scared. Jenna's face changed. Confusion, then panic. She blocked the hallway. You can't leave. This is ridiculous. I looked at her and said, you kicked me out of this marriage 100 times. Tonight I'm finally stepping outside. Her eyes watered. I didn't mean it. I nodded. That's the problem. You don't mean anything you say when you're angry, but I still have to live inside it. I walked out. Behind me, she yelled, fine, go, don't come back. And for the first time, I didn't take that as a dare. I took it as permission. Story 12. My wife's favorite phrase wasn't I love you. It was get out of my house. Not our house. Hers. We'd been married 3 years, and somehow every argument ended with her claiming ownership over the walls, the couch, the air. If I asked her to stop snapping at me, she'd fire back, then leave. The day I actually left started with a stupid, normal thing, the thermostat. I turned it up 2 degrees because it was freezing. She walked in, saw the number, and acted like I'd robbed her. Did you touch it? She demanded. Yeah, I said. It's cold. Her lip curled. You don't get to decide things here. Get out! I laughed, one short sound, because it was so absurd. Over 2 degrees? Over you, she said, and the cruelty in her voice landed like a brick, so I nodded. Okay, she blinked. What? I didn't fight. I didn't plead. I grabbed my phone and opened my banking app right there, standing in the hallway. I transferred my half of the rent to her with a note, my last payment. Her confidence flickered. What are you doing? Leaving, I said, since you're so sure it's your house. She followed me while I packed, trying to regain control with sarcasm. You'll be back. You always calm down. I kept packing. Then she tried anger. You're abandoning me. I looked at her. You've been throwing me out for years. I'm just finally not catching the boomerang. At the door, she went quiet. If you leave, we're done. I paused. We've been done. You just liked pretending the door was only for me. I walked out, and I swear the air outside felt warmer than that house ever did. 2 degrees or not. Story 13. My wife Priya never said get out during big fights. She said it during little ones. That's what messed with my head. If she'd screamed it in a full meltdown, I could have dismissed it as heat of the moment. But she'd say it casually, like ordering coffee. Get out. I'm folding laundry. Get out. You're breathing too loud. Get out. I want to watch my show. It trained me to shrink, to disappear, to take up less space in my own life. Then my mom got sick. I came home from the hospital exhausted and asked Priya if she could come with me the next day. I wasn't asking her to fix anything, just to be there. She didn't even look up from her phone. I have Pilates. I really need you, I said, voice cracked. She finally looked at me annoyed. I can't deal with your emotions right now. Get out. It was so cold, so clean. It felt like someone turned off a light. I stood there for a second and realized this wasn't a marriage. This was a rental agreement where I kept getting evicted from every room. So I said softly, okay. She smirked, thinking she'd won. Good. I went to the bedroom, pulled out a suitcase, and started packing. Her head snapped up. Wait, what are you doing? I'm getting out, I said. Like you keep asking. Her confidence cracked. I didn't mean, like, forever. I folded my shirts carefully. You did. You just didn't think I'd hear it. She tried to flip it. You're leaving me when your mom is sick? Wow. I looked at her, stunned. No. I'm leaving you because my mom is sick. And you still couldn't be kind. I left that night, slept in my car in the hospital parking lot, and when I walked back in the next morning, my mom squeezed my hand and whispered, "You look lighter." And she was right. Story 14. My wife used Get Out like a weapon, but she never expected it to ricochet. We were hosting game night with 2 other couples. Everyone was laughing, drinking, arguing about rules. My wife, Carly, was in a mood because I corrected her once, gently, about whose turn it was. She leaned in and whispered through a smile, "Don't embarrass me." I wasn't, I said. I was just... She cut me off, louder, still smiling for the room. "Babe, if you're going to be annoying, just get out for a minute." The room went awkward. Her friend laughed too hard. Someone suddenly needed a refill. You know that silence that says, "Did she really just say that?" Carly expected me to chuckle and play along. I didn't. I stood up and said, calm as a librarian, "Sure." Then I walked to the bedroom, grabbed my duffel bag from the closet, and started packing. Carly appeared in the doorway, still half laughing. "What are you doing?" "Getting out," I said. Her smile fell off her face like a mask. "No, I meant, like, step outside." I kept packing. "You said it in front of everyone. You wanted it to sting, so I'm letting it mean something." She hissed, "You're making me look like the bad guy." I finally looked at her. "You didn't need my help." Back in the living room, the couples stared like they'd accidentally bought front-row tickets to a divorce. Carly tried to joke, "He's being dramatic." I put my jacket on and said to everyone, "Have a good night." Then to her, "You told me to get out, so I'm getting out of the part where you humiliate me for sport." In the hallway, she grabbed my arm. "Stop." I didn't mean it. I removed her hand gently. "You keep saying that, and somehow, I'm still the one who has to live with what you said." I walked out while game night kept going without, because that's what it had always been. Them. Her. Not us. Story 15. My wife, Elise, said, "Get out every morning like a routine." If I asked what she wanted for breakfast, "Get out. I'm tired." If I kissed her cheek, "Get out. Don't smother me." If I tried to talk about bills, "Get out. I can't deal with you." At some point, I stopped trying to be a husband and started trying to be invisible. Then one day, she said it in a way that was almost bored, like she was swiping away an ad. "Get out," she muttered, not even looking up from her laptop. I stood there holding 2 mugs of coffee, one for her, one for me. Something inside me finally asked a simple question. Why am I bringing coffee to someone who keeps kicking me out? So I set her mug down, walked to the closet, and pulled out a suitcase. Elise didn't notice at first. She kept typing, tapping her nails, living her life like I was furniture. When she finally looked up and saw the suitcase, her face tightened. "What's that?" "My exit," I said. She scoffed. "Are you seriously doing this now?" "Yes," I replied. "You've been rehearsing it for years." Her voice rose. "I say get out because you don't listen." I nodded. "And I'm leaving because you never hear yourself." She walked over fast, trying to snatch control back. "You're not leaving. This is stupid. Sit down." And that's when it hit me. She didn't want me. She wanted the power of having me. I zipped the suitcase. "No." Her eyes widened like she'd never heard that word from me before. "If you walk out, don't come crawling back." I opened the door. "Don't worry, I'm not crawling anymore." I left. And as the door clicked shut, I realized something. The quiet wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. Story 16. My wife, Tessa, used Get Out like a daily reset. If she snapped at me, she'd throw me out of the room, cool off, then reappear later with a, "So, what do you want for dinner?" Like I was supposed to forget the humiliation. One night, she did it in front of the neighbors. We were on our porch, chatting with the couple next door. The conversation was harmless until the husband mentioned a weekend trip. I said, "That sounds great, we should do something like that sometime." Tessa laughed, sharp and dismissive. "We can't, because he can't plan anything. He'd forget his own head." I tried to smile. "That's not fair." She turned, still smiling for them, but her eyes were pure warning. "Go inside." "Get out!" The neighbors pretended to look at the street. I felt heat climb my neck. I should have defended myself, right? Instead, I stood up and said, "Okay." I walked inside, not to sulk, but to pack. When I came back out with a backpack and my keys, Tessa's smile cracked. "What are you doing?" "Leaving," I said calm. Her laugh turned nervous. "Stop. Don't be dramatic. We're talking to people. That's exactly why I'm leaving," I said. "You wanted an audience for Get Out. So here's the consequence in public, too." The neighbors froze. Tessa's face went from confident to frantic in 2 seconds. She hissed, "You're embarrassing me." I looked at her. "You've been embarrassing me for years. I'm just done pretending it's normal." I walked off the porch and kept walking. while she called my name like it had always been a leash. Story 17. My wife's get out wasn't a scream. It was a command said in a calm voice that made it feel official, like she had the authority to remove me. The weird part? She only said it when her friends were around. If it was just us, she'd argue like a normal couple. But the second company arrived, she'd start treating me like an employee she didn't respect. If I spoke too much, she'd glare. If I disagreed, she'd cut me off with, "Get out for a second. Go." It happened at her birthday dinner. We were at a restaurant with 6 of her friends. The waiter asked about allergies. I said I couldn't have shellfish. Simple. My wife rolled her eyes. "He's being dramatic. He just doesn't like seafood," I said quietly. "No, I actually get hives." She laughed like I told a joke. Okay, go outside, get out, you're killing the mood." Her friends giggled. Someone said, "Aw, she's savage." And that's when I realized I wasn't her partner. I was her prop. So I stood up, put my napkin down and said, "Sure." I walked out. But I didn't stand by the door waiting like usual. I kept walking. I called an Uber. I went to a hotel. An hour later, she texted, "Where are you? Come back. You're being childish." I replied with one line, "You told me to get out." So I did. "Of the role you keep forcing me into." She called 20 times. I didn't pick up. The next day she said, "You made me look bad." And I thought, no, you just finally saw yourself without my silence covering it. Story 18. My wife Marissa said, "Get out," like it was a joke until it wasn't. She'd say it with a smirk during arguments. "Get out then." Then she'd watch my face waiting for me to panic. It was like she needed proof I wouldn't leave. Like my fear was her comfort. One evening, she picked a fight over dishes. I'd washed them, but apparently not right. She stood over the sink like a manager on an inspection. "Why do you do everything halfway?" "I did them," I said. "They're clean." She scoffed. "Get out." "Seriously, just leave. I don't want you here." Something in me relaxed. I looked around at our kitchen, the place I'd been trying to earn my spot in, and realized I was exhausted from constantly reapplying for the position of husband. So I nodded. "Okay?" Her smirk faltered. "What?" I walked to the bedroom and pulled out a suitcase. She followed me, suddenly louder. "Stop. You're overreacting." I kept packing. She switched tactics fast. Sarcasm, anger, tears. "You're really leaving because I asked you to do dishes, right?" I paused and said, "No. I'm leaving because you treat me like I'm always one mistake away from being thrown out." She tried to block the doorway. "If you walk out, don't come back." I looked at her and said, "That's the first clear thing you've said in a long time." I left. 2 days later, she posted a vague quote on social media about men who can't handle strong women, and I realized she'd rather win online than be kind at home. Story 19. My wife used "get out" the way some people use "whatever." It was her full stop. The end of the conversation. The end of my feelings. The worst part was how quickly she'd flip afterward. 10 minutes after kicking me out, she'd text, "Can you pick up milk?" Like nothing happened. One night, she said it while I was holding our newborn. Our son was 3 months old, crying like his heart would break. I was pacing the living room, trying to soothe him. My wife, Kayla, sat on the couch scrolling, annoyed by the noise. "Give him to me," she said. "He calms down when I..." She snapped up. "Get out. Go. I can't listen to your methods." I froze. "Kayla, he's our baby." She pointed at the hallway. "Get out. Take him. Leave the room." Our baby screamed harder. I felt my chest tighten with rage, but more than rage, fear. Fear of what he'd grow up hearing. Fear of him learning that love equals eviction. So I said quietly, "Okay." I took our son, grabbed the diaper bag, and walked out the front door. Kayla shouted after me. I didn't mean leave the house, but I was already outside, rocking him under the streetlight. The cold air felt cleaner than the tension inside. An hour later she called, voice trembling. "Where are you?" "Bring him back." I stared at our son's tiny face and realized I couldn't bring him back into a home where his comfort was an inconvenience. "I'm at my sister's," I said. "He's sleeping," Kayla whispered. "Are you coming home?" I answered honestly. "Not until Get Out stops being your favorite parenting tool." Story 20. My wife, Sienna, kept a scoreboard in her head. Every time I messed up, forgot a chore, worked late, didn't read her mood perfectly, she'd cash in a point with the same phrase, "Get out." At first, I thought it was just her temper. Then I noticed she only did it when she felt insecure. If she worried I was pulling away, she'd push first. Like leaving me was safer than being left. The final time was on our anniversary. I made reservations, bought flowers, even wrote a card. She barely glanced at it. Then she started picking at me, my shirt, my job, the way I chewed. I finally said, "Do you even want to be here with me?" She laughed, and it wasn't kind. "If you're going to be sensitive, get out." Go. I'll have a better night without you. The restaurant went quiet around us like the world leaned in to listen. I looked at her, then at the flowers in my hand, and I felt this sudden shame. Not at her, but at myself for still trying. So I stood up. Sienna's eyes widened. Sit down. I placed the flowers on the table and said calmly, Happy anniversary. Then I walked out of the restaurant. Outside, my phone blew up with messages. Come back. Stop. You're making a scene. I didn't answer. Because for the first time, I wasn't the one causing the scene. I was the one leaving it. Story 21. My wife Holly said get out like she was swatting a fly. Not angry enough to scream, just annoyed enough to want me gone. It was always during her stress. Bad day at work? Get out. Her mom called and upset her? Get out. She'd pace the living room, vent at me, and the second I tried to speak, she'd cut me off like a TV commercial. One night, she came home furious about a coworker. I listened, nodded, tried to be supportive. I can't stand her, Holly snapped. She thinks she's better than everyone, I said gently. Have you talked to your manager about it? Holly's eyes narrowed. Don't tell me what to do. Get out. I exhaled. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm trying to help. Get out, she repeated louder. You always make it worse. I stood there for a second, looking at her, really looking, and realized this wasn't about her coworker. This was about power. She needed somewhere to dump her frustration, and she needed me to disappear when I became human. So I nodded. Okay. She relaxed immediately, satisfied. That's what she wanted. Control restored. I walked to the bedroom, took a suitcase from the closet and started packing. Slowly, quietly, with the same calm you pack with when you've already mourned something. Holly appeared in the doorway, confused. What are you doing? Getting out, I said. Her laugh was automatic. Stop. You're being dramatic. I didn't even look up. No, I'm being obedient. That's when her smile fell. I didn't mean, like leave. I zipped the suitcase. Then stop practicing it daily. She stepped forward, voice trembling. You can't just abandon me because I'm stressed. I finally met her eyes. You've been abandoning me in this house for a long time. I'm just making it physical. When I walked out, she shouted, Fine, go. You'll come back. And for the first time, I knew she was wrong. Because the silence felt like relief, not punishment. Story 22. My wife's get out came with a door gesture. 2 fingers flicking toward the hallway like she was directing traffic. She did it whenever she didn't like how I reacted. If I was too quiet, I was sulking. If I defended myself, I was arguing. Either way, get out. I stayed because we had a routine. Because we had pictures on the wall. Because I thought marriage meant enduring. Then she said it during therapy. Yes, therapy. We finally agreed to see a counselor. I thought, this is it. This is where we learn how to stop hurting each other. The therapist asked my wife, Bianca, what do you need from him when you're upset? Bianca smiled politely and said, space. The therapist turned to me. And what do you experience when she needs space? I said honestly. I get kicked out, like literally. She tells me to get out of the room. Bianca's face tight. Because you don't respect my boundaries. The therapist asked, Bianca, do you tell him get out? Bianca hesitated, then shrugged. Yes, because he pushes. The therapist's voice stayed calm. Do you hear how that might feel rejecting? Bianca scoffed. Oh my God. This is exactly what he does. Makes himself the victim. Then she turned to me and snapped, right there in the office. Get out. The room went silent. Even the therapist blinked like she couldn't believe it happened in real time. I stood up. Bianca's eyes widened. She expected me to look ashamed, to sit back down, to apologize for making her look bad. Instead, I said quietly, okay. I walked out of the office, down the hallway, and outside into the parking lot. Bianca ran after me, hissing, I meant for a minute. Come back in. You're embarrassing me. I looked at her and said, you just proved my entire point to a professional. Her face flushed. So what, you're leaving? Over one word? No, I said. Over the fact that you can't even stop yourself when there are consequences. I got in my car and drove away. Therapy didn't save our marriage. It saved me. Story 23. My wife Dana used get out the same way she used makeup wipes. Erase me when she was done. It was usually after she'd said something cruel. If I reacted, she'd turn the tables. You're too sensitive. Get out. The night I left started with her friends in our living room. Wine glasses clinking, laughter bouncing off the walls. Dana was playing hostess. Charming, warm, radiant. I came in from the kitchen and asked, hey, where did you put the phone charger? Mine's missing. Dana didn't miss a beat. She smiled at her friends and said, he can't find anything without me. Babe, please, get out of the room. We're having adult conversation. Her friends laughed, the polite kind. I felt my face go hot. I said quietly, That's not funny. Dana's smile sharpened. Get out. Seriously? So I did. I walked to the bedroom, shut the door, and stood there in silence. My heart was pounding, but not from anger, from embarrassment, from the realization that she enjoyed doing this when there was an audience. I opened the closet and grabbed a duffel bag. When Dana finally followed me, she still had the party voice. What are you doing? Leaving, I said. Her eyes widened like she didn't understand the word. No, you're not. Stop being dramatic. I kept packing. You wanted me out of the room. I'm taking it a step further. Her tone snapped. You're going to humiliate me in front of my friends? I looked at her. You already did that. I'm just not covering for it anymore. She blocked the doorway. If you walk out, don't bother coming back. I nodded. Okay. When I walked into the living room with my bag, her friends went silent. Dana tried to laugh. He's just being extra. I didn't argue. I just said, have a good night, and walked out. Behind me, I heard Dana's friend whisper, did you really tell him to get out? And Dana didn't answer. Because for once, the word she loved so much finally exposed her. Story 24. My wife Elise never kicked me out when we were alone. She kicked me out when she was on the phone with her mother. Her mom hated me. Not dramatically, strategically. Every call was a little interrogation. My job, my habits, my tone, my ambition. Elise would sit there, nodding, absorbing her mom's criticism like scripture. Then she'd look at me and say, get out. I need to talk to my mom. At first I did. I told myself it was normal, family stuff. But it happened every day. Sometimes twice. And the tone changed from polite to irritated, like I was interrupting royalty. One evening, I heard her mom's voice through the speaker. Is he there? Tell him to leave. You can't speak freely with him around. Elise looked at me and said it automatically. Get out. I didn't move. Elise's eyes narrowed. Why are you standing there? Because this is my house too, I said, and I'm tired of being removed like I'm a problem. Her mom's voice crackled through the phone. See? He's controlling. Elise's face tightened and she snapped, get out. And something in me broke. Not into rage, into certainty. I said, okay. I walked to the bedroom, pulled out a suitcase and started packing. Elise followed, still holding the phone. What are you doing? Stop. Her mom's voice. Let him go. He's bluffing. I zipped the suitcase and looked at Elise. She wants me gone. You keep choosing that. Elise's voice finally wavered. I didn't mean for you to leave. I gestured at the phone. Then stop letting someone else run our home. Her mom snapped, don't you dare blame me. I didn't argue with the phone. I just walked out. In the car, I felt guilty for about 10 minutes. Then I realized the guilt was just the leftover habit of obeying. Story 25. My wife Claire had a pattern. She'd start a fight, push me until I reacted, then act shocked that I had emotions. You're scaring me, she'd say, after spending 20 minutes poking every bruise I had. Then came the line, get out. It became so routine I started hearing it before she said it, like thunder before rain. The final time was after a family gathering. My brother made a joke about how Claire was the boss. Everyone laughed, including Claire. In the car, she turned to me and said, see, even your family knows you're weak. I stared out the window. Why would you say that? She shrugged. Because it's true. I tried to stay calm. That's hurtful. Claire's eyes lit up. She loved when I finally reacted. Oh, here we go. Get out. I'm not doing this. We were in the driveway. She pointed at the front door like she was evicting me from a property she owned. I nodded. Okay. I went inside, not to cool down, to pack. When I came back with a bag, Claire stood in the hallway confused. What is that? My stuff. Her voice rose. You're leaving? Over a joke? I looked at her and said, it wasn't a joke. It was a summary. She scoffed. You'll be back. You always come back. I shook my head. I always came back because you left the door open. Tonight you slammed it in my face one too many times. Claire's expression changed, fear flashing through the arrogance. Stop. Don't do this. I walked past her and opened the door. She tried one last command, the one that had always worked. Get out. I paused, turned, and said quietly, I am. Then I stepped outside and didn't look back.